folks, and welcome back to another Pinal Prep Spotlight brought to you by Jones Ford Buick GMC, your hometown dealer for more than 50 years. We are technically about to enter postseason mode here at Pinal Central. On Wednesday, we have a couple of play-in games going on for baseball and softball between the 6A to 4A conference, and then on Saturday, depending if some of these teams win, they'll play again on Saturday. But also, we have the one baseball team who finished in the top 8. They get to skip all this play-in tournament malarkey and just play on Saturday once the actual quote-unquote state tournament begins. But also 3A conference, they're going to have their play-in tournament going on Saturday. So we're going to give you just how our teams are doing who will be competing on Saturday. Kicking things off with softball, our lone softball team in 3A, who is currently ranked number 11, and that is ALA Ironwood. David, how have the Warriors made it so far?
They made it so far by just being really good. I mean, I think they've kind of gone under the radar when it comes to how good they are, maybe just because of strength of schedule, but even with that schedule, they've done really, really well. They're 12-3 right now on the season, and of the 7 players that are that have had over 60 plate appearances, 5 of them are batting over 400, and then 1 of them is batting over 500, which happens to be Leanna San Miguel. And she has an OPS of 1.579, so huge production from her. She's been the spark that this team has needed throughout this year to get that great record of them. Like we talked about, the ranking may not be reflective of their strength of schedule, but this team is very good, and I think they could surprise some people if they make it towards that 3A playoffs, and expect San Miguel to be a huge part of this team and to kind of lead them into a possible playoff push.
Okay, David mentioned strength of schedule. We got to look back at some of the games here these Warriors have had. So against potential playoff teams, they have lost to Mesa Eastmark and Chandler Arizona College Prep, but they did beat Chandler Valley Christian. Now, a big test for them is coming on later this week, Wednesday. They are going to be hosting in their regular season finale Phoenix Brigade Catholic. Now, this team is currently ranked number 7 in 3A, so, this is going to be a good test for them to kind of prepare them for that next step in Saturday and, all these potential teams that they might face. Moving on, keeping it in 3A, but jumping over to the baseball side, again, ALA Ironwood Baseball, also doing a solid job. They are currently at number 15. David, what about the boys?
This team is a really good mix of both young and veteran players. They got some freshmen and sophomores, some junior and senior, so there's a good mix between those. But, this team isn't going to be one that's going to slug you out, hit the ball over the fence. They are built on speed, speed, speed. They are going to steal bases as much as they can, 42 stolen bags on the year, and we should call them robbers, actually, at this point, for how good they are at stealing. They're successful in 76% of their stolen base attempts. That is a great clip to have, and this team is built on base percentage, getting on base, and then using their really top-notch speed of getting in scoring position and bringing runners home. That's how they win games. They're kind of one of these, middle-of-the-pack teams, but have still done pretty well for themselves. So if they're able to, get into that 3A playoff spot, I expect them to do really big things with that on-base percentage and stealing base mentality. So I look for them to keep with that and possibly make a run. You never know in the playoffs. The playoffs are one of the most unpredictable things, so they could make a run with that mindset that they have.
All right, so looking at this schedule, 3 teams in the 3A South Central Conference. These all kind of tie in together with the LA Ironwood, Santan Foothills, and Florence. Foothills is currently ranked number 17, and Florence is hanging right there at the bottom of the bubble at number 23. So just on Monday, ALA Ironwood and Foothills played against each other. Foothills was the team that came out on top with the 3-1 victory. Now, hits were very hard to come by in this game, but this helped Foothills get that boost up to number 17. For ALA Ironwood, I feel like right now, unfortunately, they're kind of trending in the opposite way that they want to. In their last 5 games, they are 2-3. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can kind of right this ship, for once Saturday comes along. Speaking of, San Santan Foothills, again, it's hard to tell with this very young SaberCats team. They also split their series with Florence, 1-1. David, what are you expecting from the SaberCats here?
Kind of like most of these other teams that we talked about, they're kind of middle-of-the-pack teams, and for Foothills, it comes down to their pitching. They haven't done very well on the mound this year. Their team ERA is at 4.44, so if they want to really, reach that upper echelon in future years, they're going to have to work on their pitching and making sure that they're, limiting runners on base and limiting runs against them because, pitching is huge. Like we talked about many times, pitching wins championships and is the ultimate, benefactor when it comes to being a really well-rounded team. So if you fix up the pitching, you could do really well, and I think they just have to rely on some of those bats that could lead them to, big success, but the pitching has to be taken care of in the next coming years for them.
All right, and as I mentioned, our last 3A team in Florence, currently ranked number 23. So Florence still has one game left on their regular season schedule. It is against number 10, Thatcher. Bright side here is, Thatcher is pretty high ranked. So when they lose, because unfortunately they have a tall task here, it can't really hurt their power ranking. The downside, though, is they're currently ranked number 23, so one of those lower teams can really sneak up on them and bump them out of playoff position. David, what do the Gophers need to get done here?
Yeah, this is a big win or a big opportunity for them to possibly move up, but also not necessarily hurt their ranking if they do lose. So, in order for them to be successful, it's going to have to come from the bat of Tommy Carberry. He has been, the guy for them the entire year. He's batting .433 on the year, 9 extra base hits on the year. So this guy is really going to have to keep going for them and being that, big spark in the offensive lineup for them. Like Foothills, though, Florence has had some trouble on the mound. They've given up some runs, so like Foothills, they're going to have to correct that and limit runners on base and limit runs so they can let Tommy Carberry and the rest of this Gophers team get runs on the board and be able to come out on top.
All right, and our last team that will be playing on Saturday, for sure, it is in the 4A conference, the top baseball team, Poston Butte. Now, I know the AIA currently doesn't have the top 8 teams ranked, unless there's some ridiculous math going on, which, of course, nobody knows how this power ranking system works. However, Poston Butte should be the top seed here. David, how have these Broncos made it just such a successful season so far?
By being just so good. They're really just so good. They're great hitters 1 through 9. Their top pitchers, Ethan Hatch and Tyler Child, have been cornerstones for them on the mound. So these guys have just been so good all year. An undefeated regular season. Took 2 games and shut down Vista Grande both games. And Vista Grande has been a huge competitor for them in their own region. And they might see them again in the playoffs once they get going if Vista Grande can, get it past that play-in round. But, Poston Butte has just been one of the best teams, and you're absolutely right. They should be ranked number 1. If I was an opposing team, I would want nothing to do with this team because they can beat you in so many ways. Like I talked about, they can beat you 1 through 9 in the lineup. They can beat you with the starting rotation and the bullpen. This team is just really good, and I'd be shocked if they didn't make it to at least the semifinals in the 4A conference. This team is just really good, and I expect big things from them. This is the year for them. They really want to make sure that this is the year that they cap off with a state title, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do.
All right, so people might be able to argue that Poston Butte hasn't really have that tough of a schedule. We know the Black Canyon region besides Vista Grande. Isn't really much of a competition. You have Scottsdale, Coronado, Phoenix Cortez, all these teams that struggle mightily. However, earlier this year, they beat a top 8 team in Gilbert Mesquite 11-5. Other play-in teams who will be playing on Wednesday, Peoria, Poston Butte defeated them 15-4. Deer Valley 8-2. We mentioned Vista Grande. Hey, just over the past couple of days, Poston Butte defeated them twice. And, it hasn't been by fluke anyways, none of these wins. We mentioned it. They are undefeated right now. Regular season record 18-0. Their region record perfect 10-0. During their region play, these 10 games, they didn't allow a single run to their opponents. Nothing. And overall, in their 18 regular season games, they've outscored opponents 276-15. So, hey, anybody who is going up against Poston Butte, I honestly wouldn't want anything to do with that. This is a scary team, and they're rolling on all cylinders right now. David, is there anything else you want to add?
I think you said it perfectly. Poston Butte is definitely a team to look out for and watch, and other teams better be ready to see what they can do because this team can beat you both with pitching and both with batting. So look out for them to be a serious contender in this 4A playoffs when it gets starting ramping up on Saturday for the actual playoff round.
All right, that does it. Be sure to check out Pinal Central throughout the weekend to see how all of our teams do.